And at the bottom right, on the space concrete or whatever it is, in the blue for Team Liquid, it's SKillous.
And his opponent for Berlin International Gaming in the top left-hand side, it is ShoWTimE. Tobias Sieber. He's jacked.
Absolutely. And he has the best posture while sitting in front of a computer of anyone I've ever seen. And I'm just
No doubt.
kind of jealous.
No doubt. Yeah. Actually pretty insane. Insane posture.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, his posture, if you think about it, the way ShoWTimE holds himself, the way he just kind of presents his life very much shows through in how he wants to play StarCraft. You know, it's not very loose and all over the place. No, it is regimented and figured out and fixed, and you know exactly what you need to do to defend X, Y, Z, and you defend long enough, then you're just going to be okay, and then you win the game. That's that very rigid posture.
For sure. No, yeah, I completely agree. And it's very Protoss, unlike Protoss, basically, because Protoss is more of the chaotic race for a lot of people, more of the trickster race. So it's about those tech switches and keeping opponents guessing. With ShoWTimE, it's about solid execution. It's about just, you know, like knowing kind of just how to navigate each situation and do it in the best possible way. So he is very methodical for sure.
Yeah, certainly. So for now, we got SKillous. He's going to put a bit of a cheeky pylon on the bottom side. I don't know that he's going to build something with it, but he is keeping the probe with the pylon. So that is definitely an option. Regardless, it's Schrodinger's pylon. You don't know if... There we go. Okay. Proxy Twilight here, Cats. That's a bit different.
Yeah, it's pretty nifty. I would imagine that it has to be for Dark Templar play, but it could also be some sort of, I don't know, charge slot all in or something like that. I kind of want to see the DTs, but you know, this is not a matchup where you tend to skip the robo very much, especially early on, and especially if you don't see anything on the other side. There's also gonna be oracles available for ShoWTimE, so yeah, I'm not sure what it's gonna be. Maybe it looks like charge, blink, 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 blink. 2 stalkers being produced.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you could do some fun stuff. You could go and proxy Twilight, you know, you could proxy Glaives. That'd be fun. But for now, yeah, no, it's just going to be this very quick blink timing. 3-gate blink coming on out from SKillous right now as he drops the pylon on the high ground as well. So
yeah,
this is aggressive. He's trying to punish the max specs build, this low ground expand idea. And ShoWTimE has to figure this out. He's got an Oracle out right now. He's going to see the Stalker. Right, he's going to see a couple more.
Void Ray should get started.
Yeah, this has got to get figured out, but no Void Ray just yet. ShoWTimE, there we go. Okay, there's the Void Ray on the way.
Yeah, that's really, really important. I mean, even then, SKillous is going to work towards a critical mass of Stalkers where the Void Ray doesn't come into play. He's trying to kill the Stalker before the battery, the second battery comes up, but with the first one already there, it's not going to yield much fruits. And yeah, things look pretty good on defense so far for ShoWTimE.
Yeah, this is a hard thing to break. But so the way this can often work is we see the gateway going down. By the way, Stasis Trap gets one probe. The way this can work is it's like, yeah, okay, the front base, the front of the base is incredibly well defended here. So this Void Ray has to be pretty careful.
Hallucination has to be coming up soon.
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh, I mean, there's an adept in the main, so you don't need it, but it's gonna go down now. But yeah, so like you defend the front, and then the Stalkers blink into the main base on critical mass, and that's the difference. But Blink's not done yet, so you gotta wait a little bit.
Yeah, and the hallucination is now crossing the map, so that Phoenix is the one that's gonna enable the blink forward onto the main base. There's already 9 Stalkers, so they should be able, I think, to 2-shot the Void Ray as well. And yeah, here we go. There's the hallucination. There's the blink forward. Actually doesn't volley off of perfectly there, so actually wastes the first volley to some degree, which means the Void Rays are not gonna get one shot. However, still forced to retreat. But only a couple extra Stalkers here on the side of SKillous. ShoWTimE could make a shield battery in his main if he doesn't already have one. It's halfway done, but it's actually exposed. This probe does give him a little bit of heads up to try to pull probes to defend that shield battery, and he's going to be able to successfully do that as SKillous chooses not to capitalize fast enough. And he doesn't have the critical mass that he wants to 2-shot those Void Rays. Now he does. Let's see if he can make something happen still.
Yeah, this is a bit ugly here. Not really rallying the shots there on the Void Ray. Shield Battery Evercharge gets popped, but the Void Ray's dead anyways. probes continue to get pulled here, Cats, and that's actually a big problem. They fight Stalkers surprisingly well, but the shield battery overcharge is going to be done very quickly, and it feels like we are starting to hit critical mass here. The probes are dead. It's one Void Ray, 2 Stalkers versus, well, a lot more Blinks on top. The Void Ray's just dead. Okay. Stalkers, they're going to die too. SKillous here seems like he has everything that he needs to take this first game.
Wild.
Yeah, SKillous, he breaks them. Game 1 goes the way of our Blue Protoss. ShoWTimE falls.
Yeah, very well done by SKillous there, capitalizing on the opportunity. I mean, the first volley wasn't ideal. It shot onto multiple units, so it made it so the Void Rays would both survive for effectively 3 volleys. If you discount that first one, really 2, but you know, it should have been 2 from the get-go. So it didn't look so great, but the saving grace was that there was no shield battery for ShoWTimE in the main. And maybe he could have pulled the probes a little bit earlier just to dislodge that attack, because if you think about it, there's no follow-up once you lose the high ground. Once you get kicked out, you don't really have an observer to blink back into the high ground, and the front is super well defended. So if you just shut it down, if you just pull probes right away, and you just say, get out of my base once, it might be a little bit costly, but it'll secure you basically the rest of the game until the next hallucination is available.
Yeah, certainly. So not quite able to kick him out. It snowballs, it snowballs, it snowballs. There's not a shield battery in the main base. Just not quite ready. But that's game 1 of a series. We move on to Oceanborn, another map that we've seen only once in this tournament, or in the play day today thus far. But this one's weird, because the third base on one side is pretty tight. You take the linear one, and that is a lot harder to, well, it's a lot harder to take. In this matchup in PvP, you don't have to worry about being forced to take that nearly as much, but it does have some chokes. It does have some wide open areas that we're going to have to see if SKillous can take advantage of. But for now, right, this is a 1-0 lead for SKillous, and I think that's, I'm not going to say it's surprising, because SKillous has looked very good as of late, but breaking the defense of ShoWTimE, I think that's the surprising part, especially when he wasn't able to target 1 Void Ray immediately.
Yeah, for sure. That was very, very well done by him. And yeah, I'm curious what he's going to have up his sleeve this time around. Kind of both players falling into the roles that we would expect them to fall into, and SKillous getting the better of ShoWTimE this time around. But also, each time that you try something like that, it's not something like right now, for example, you couldn't do the same build, which is presumably one of your stronger approaches. It's not just the map, but also the fact that ShoWTimE is going to evaluate what he did wrong just now and look to adapt to that sort of build or then follow up, right? So it should be a different approach that we see from SKillous, and yeah, let's find out what it is as we're loaded into the game.
There we are, and in the upper left, he's down 1, I think, to the surprise of a couple people at the very least. His name, ShoWTimE.
And the bottom right-hand side, it is Nikita Gurevich, SKillous. I think living in the Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken at the moment.
Yeah, he's living, to the best of my knowledge, he's still living with Team Liquid in their at their kind of Utrecht area. No, I'm sorry. He's living with Raynor. That's right. He moved. Yeah,
that's right.
So they are. Then it's gonna be interesting, because obviously this is a PvP. We can't really see it, although Raynor's Protoss is pretty good. How much living with Raynor has improved SKillous' PV or his PVZ, if at all? I mean, again, that's a matchup we might see later on. I don't know. But that's kind of an interesting storyline to think about, right? Like, is there some osmotic tendencies here? Does Raynor's Zerg, does that improve SKillous' PVZ? Does it make go the opposite? Does it matter at all? I don't know.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. I mean, they probably talk a lot about StarCraft, which is kind of like the bigger upside. I think one of the bigger upsides to, you know, living with StarCraft people, right? It's like you're just kind of surrounded and drenched in that environment. So it's probably gonna help them out if nothing else with theory. I don't know how much they practice with each other, but yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So the other question we talked about is how aggressive SKillous gets. Game one, we talked about it. You know, he got the Blink Stalkers in. He was not kicked out. He won the game off of it. But as you kind of mentioned, Cats, you can't go single gate expand on this map. I mean, okay, if you're max specs, you can, but no one else wants to. You don't have that ramp there. So it's a 2-gate opener from both players. That does shut down this one base idea a little bit out of SKillous because, again, he knows ShoWTimE's going to have what he has. For the most part, it doesn't make as much sense. So now we got our opportunity here for a little bit of a longer game. Not quite as aggressive as I thought they got rid of the I thought they get rid of the Space Whale, but
Ooh.
Still there.
Yeah, and this is strange from SKillous actually moving across the map with the Stalkers. Maybe not accounting for the fact that like there's 2 different paths, but usually you would want to fight the Adepts with the Stalkers. That's what they're really good at. He's gonna get here and there's gonna be 2 Stalkers out for ShoWTimE. So if they get the first volley down this ramp, that'll be really nice for him. And on the other side, the Adepts are ready to potentially go and do some damage, though they did stop for a little bit there.
Yeah, certainly. For now, though, I mean, there is the shield battery here, so these Adepts are not going to get a lot done. And in fact, SKillous is going to show up on these Adepts from a weird angle. ShoWTimE, he's not going to be expecting this. In fact, he's going to be forced to shade in or run away. This is a bit awkward. So does he complete the shade? He will. But now they got to be trapped, right? If SKillous chases this down, he should just get the Adepts. But in fact, okay, they're going to find the shade. So these 2 Adepts.
That's huge.
This is not, yeah. They die one way or the other. Oracle kills them instead of the Stalkers. That's better because the Oracle spends energy instead of is able to maintain it for later. But ShoWTimE, that little bit of that expeditionary force doesn't get much done.
Yeah, really cool shade cancel because of what you were mentioning, right? Like you actually have to invest the energy and the thought into canceling the shade just to drain a little bit of Oracle energy. So well done there by ShoWTimE, but obviously a good happening for SKillous.
There's a second Oracle on the map now here, Cats, and that's where things get a little dicey. Shield batteries don't keep you safe anymore. You can run by a couple Stalkers and still find that value. So, and actually, yeah, there's a bit of a point here on the bottom side of the natural. Now, oh, wait, you just get this, just target the sentries down. One dies immediately, but okay, it will be for an Oracle. Not quite as nice for SKillous as he would have liked. Getting the sentry is valuable, but losing an Oracle for it, not really.
Not the way. Yeah, so the game kind of equalizes on the back of that. 38 workers to SKillous to 36 of ShoWTimE so far. ShoWTimE now is going to get ready to apply potential aggression onto upcoming third, perhaps with his blink. He will have it significantly quicker, and his force of Stalkers is pretty decent here. So yeah, I think it looks good for ShoWTimE to try to go for a third base tonight, but we'll see.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Either you get aggressive or you don't. And if you're not gonna get aggressive, might as well expand quickly. So because that is a slower third base, you're almost mandated to make this happen. But with that blink timing, you're right. It is a big difference here, and in part that's because the Stargate play. In part, just maybe SKillous a little slow. But now the Stalkers are moving out, so it's 50% of the way here, Cats. Until blink is done, we have no shield battery at this third base. Well, we got one on the way, but it's pretty forward. If ShoWTimE finds his way up the ramp, this shield battery dies very quickly. And let's see what happens. For now, the shield battery at the front here. Stalker starting to go down. Stasis trap. Blink him into it. Bait him into it. It's just not going to happen. The shield battery is dead. Blink's not done. And at this point, this is a hard defense here for SKillous. He's losing a couple probes here, and there's no shield battery anywhere. Not in the natural, not in the third base, but it seems like for the moment, SKillous or ShoWTimE backing up just a little bit, waiting for that warp in. But that's time for blink for SKillous to complete. That's time for him to stabilize in this game. And if he gets away with this third base that much faster, I mean, this is not enough from ShoWTimE yet.
Not at all, yeah. So it was a difficult, very technical defense there from SKillous, but he does what is required of him. A lot of the shield battery, they're soaking up the damage as well. Helped ShoWTimE, who is now posturing to try to make something else happen. The force fields are kind of just wasted. SKillous has no desire of chasing. He knows that he has the faster third, and ShoWTimE is just gonna pull back. I mean, his third was dropped behind this and is now completed, so it's not the end of the world, but yeah, not amazing, right? Like for ShoWTimE, not what he was looking for, certainly.
He got a couple probes just on the rally on the Stalkers. He kills 4, but he loses a couple more on the other side. That Oracle dives in, so even that value is not great. And behind this, we got a Robo on the way from SKillous. Now the Robo's done from ShoWTimE. It's going to be a lot faster there. Observers are going to start to hit the map. But at this point, it's kind of 6 one way, half dozen the other, right? Neither SKillous nor ShoWTimE, I think, are really going to want to attack all that much, not until they try to take 4 bases. It's just really hard to break a 3-base Protoss, especially when you both have Blink, when you have that parity. But ShoWTime's going to find 4 Stalkers on the map here. This is a big catch. There's no way they get out. I mean, they're going to try to run, but even getting 2 of them, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and there's Blink going to be available for ShoWTimE faster, so they're always going to die. But at least SKillous runs them the opposite direction, so, you know, like he clears his side of the map for a little bit longer. 61 workers to 61 workers, with ShoWTimE with a tiny bit of a lead on the back of that. Those Stalkers pretty much equalize things in a big way. So SKillous faster to his 4th again. So that's the advantage that he's looking for, but ShoWTimE has been consistently faster to the tech, and he should be able to build a stronger army faster.
Yeah, that's really just a fact of getting that quick Twilight, right? So ShoWTimE had a quicker Twilight, which means quicker Blink, which means quicker Charge, which means wherever you want to go. But at this point, you know, once Charge is done, you're kind of done with the Twilight. Very few people get Glaives. So +2 on the way here for SKillous. Well timed. He's got his Warp Prism on the way. Charge is going to be done in about 20-25 seconds. So at this point, I think the tech's in a pretty solid spot. The one thing we can talk about is, well, the addition of the Immortals here, which actually signify, I think, some aggression from ShoWTimE. Immortals they have a bit of a timing. They're not, that's a decent stasis. Once Destructors start to hit the field, I mean, Immortals are not great, but at this timing right now, they're pretty dang strong. But look at this setup here coming out of SKillous.
Oh, but the charge loads! The charge load flank is there. That's actually insane timing for ShoWTimE. There's no way that SKillous could have accounted for that. And with those charge loads, he's going to be able to turn the tides. These 3 Stalkers also who were trapped, they should have been easy pickings for SKillous, but overextends instead. Unknowingly, like, really can't fault him for that at all. And in that process, I mean, the 3 Stalkers also survive for ShoWTimE, who is now looking to be in a very strong position.
That was, I'm looking at this, I'm like, man, what a great fight from SKillous right there. On the surround, he gets the Immortal immediately, but then, yeah, you're right, those Zealots from behind. Who's surrounding who? The answer that time was ShoWTimE. Now SKillous on the map here, and this is awkward. He's going to lose a couple more Zealots. His army supply, he's down 30 army supply. And yeah, he's got +2 a little bit faster. Yeah, his economy is a little bit faster, but this is not an army he can fight right now. He's looking for that counterattack. He's looking just to not allow ShoWTimE to really be on the other side. But ShoWTime's got first mover's advantage here. This is... SKillous has to return home, but he doesn't have the right path. The Archons here as well. The Zealots are just not great. This is a problem for ShoWTimE right now. Or SKillous right now.
Yeah, SKillous was looking to maybe try to cut some reinforcements or something of the sort. Ends up recalling without finding much. Beforehand, at least, ShoWTimE is kind of offering him some split-up fights with where there's ramps and spaces to maneuver for SKillous. And now the charge lots, this is how you want to fight them with the Blink Stalkers, right? You just let the charge lots go in, and then you start microing back with the Stalkers. You just kind of kite them. So that Blink forward was just so detrimental because you're doing the opposite. Instead of saving Blink to go back, you're going forward into the charge lots, and you don't want to fight them just by standing, right? So SKillous somehow, some way pushes this back, but the quality of the army of ShoWTimE is much higher.
The crazy thing for me here is he blinks, gets the Warp Prism down, is that SKillous, despite having Zealots in his probe line for so long, didn't lose a single probe, right? He didn't lose anything from that. And he's actually up workers. ShoWTimE was at 58 workers through the entirety of that fight. So SKillous, like, actually builds more of an economic lead off of that pressure, despite again Zealots just sitting in his mineral line for quite a while, which is crazy. Like, that doesn't feel like something that should happen. And now SKillous, he's got the inside path here. He's going to try to get on top of this third base.
I don't know about this.
This is spooky.
It is very, very spooky. SKillous does something better than ShoWTimE, I think, here in just sectioning off 2 Zealots. I think that the commitment for the mineral line that you're talking about from ShoWTimE was a little bit too big, where too much of his action was, or his army was sectioned off to deal with the mineral line. And there you're fighting with shield batteries, you're fighting against, you know, high grounds, and you're fighting against ramps and stuff like that. So SKillous was able to trade cost efficiently while, like you mentioned, perfectly defending his mineral line. And that kind of gives him an in back into this game. However, he's still lagging behind 3 Immortals, which is a massive deal. If he can get a huge charge lots around, but there's Archons. The opposite of what you want to happen, but yeah, looking dire here for SKillous.
Look how much more gas ShoWTimE has, and he's up 1,200 gas in his army right now with those Archons, with the Immortals. This army is just so much more, you're right, it's just so much more technical, it's so much more complex, but SKillous looking for the surround right now. He's not triggering it fast enough though. Triggers Hardened Shields on the backside, blinks away, so at least these Immortals
This was good.
are not as tanky as they would be. This is a pretty solid fight. Gets on top of the Immortals. One will fall, second one goes down pretty quickly here.
Nope.
Oh, actually, he was gonna get saved. And this is where it feels like it's gonna start to snowball. +3, not done. Zealots continue to find value, but even still, down significant value in this army. Skillous is kind of making it happen, Cats.
Yeah, I see. I'm not sure. I mean, battery overcharge is no longer available for him. This next set of weapons of Zealots might be what causes the shift here. I mean, there's still those two Immortals that are gonna output a lot of damage, but I think Skillous is doing the right thing in adding a lot of Zealots himself, right? Like, because there's only 2 Archons left, and that the Immortals are not gonna fare well against Zealots. So I think whoever gets rid of each other's front line first will have an advantage. What a beautiful move from Skillous.
Oh man, that's so good, but it's gonna trigger the attack hit in the front because the Stalkers are not there, but they're chipping away at the Archons from the backside, so they can't join the fight. This is such a beautiful move from Skillous.
Yeah.
It works out so nicely now on top of the Immortals as well. The Zealots are just not there, but the Archons, they're shredding the Zealots here of Skillous quite significantly, and the Immortal does not fall, but the last of the Archons, they're now going to go down here. Zealots getting on top of this Immortal of ShoWTimE. Skillous with the Concave, he's now got to back up. The Zealots are going to join the fray. But what an equalizing move here. He's up double the, well, he's up 20 odd army supply. That snipe there was brilliant, Cat. It's so good.
It was so amazing. And like you said, I mean, ShoWTimE is an experienced player. He knows, okay, I'm not going to get additional weapons. Now is go time, because anytime that I don't go, if I'm planning on attacking at all, is worse, right? Because you have to warp it on your side of the map and reinforce from there. So that is the maximum amount of army that he's going to have at that point in time when he pushes, which is perfectly reasonable. And then SKillous just with beautiful moves during the fight as well. For example, he had that flank of Stalkers, and usually what you want to do as ShoWTimE against that sort of flank is readjust to fight one fight at a time, potentially probably against the smaller numbers, but then SKillous blinks on forward with the rest of his army to just use those Stalkers that were coming from behind as buffer, and now he has snowballed to where he has an extremely dominant position in the game, should be able to close it out here, and what a fantastic display from SKillous, about to 2-0 ShoWTimE.
Yeah, this was the surprise of the day, I think. ShoWTimE, yeah, they're good, certainly, but a 2-0 from Skillous. If I had in my head, if Skillous wins this series, it's a 2-1. It's a hard-fought victory, but Skillous, you're right, Cats. He looks